Yo guys, welcome to RenderRam. My name is Vieco and today we're gonna be talking about stains. Now we're gonna dive deeper into the whole stain, dirt, the imperfection sphere, and keep in mind, any sort of dirt, it can be done in a million different ways. You can do dirts with opacity, diffuse, subsurface scattering, bump, reflection, refraction, glossy, you name it. If a dirt looks good, it's a good dirt. So the method that I'm going to be showing you today are stains from the glossy. So this is a lovely TV unit that's going to be our victim to get dirty. As you can see, oh, by the way, I'm using Corona this time, not F-Storm. Why? Why not? So we're going to be using Corona Legacy material, and I have white color here. It's almost white. It's 220. You can use physical material, it doesn't really matter. And the texture, the dirt texture that we're going to be using is going to be a texture supplied dirt texture, and it's this one. It's called Dirt Map Table 001. I use that texture on literally everything. Anyhow, let's dive in. So, first, whenever you're doing dirts, you want to make sure if the dirt is visible correctly. You want to know on what areas of the object the dirt is going to be visible. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a fall off. So general, and just click on the fall off here. Next, we're going to plug that fall off into our diffuse. Why? Because we will physically see where the dirt will be appearing. So this looks good. Usually stains come from above, from the Lord. So we're going to be using stains on the top surfaces. Now the only problem here is that you can see that, you know, if we are focusing on this white area, because the fall off is made of black and white. Now if we're going to be focusing on that white area here, you will notice side panels here are also white, and this is exactly not the area where you want your dirts to be. So we want to kind of isolate where we want our dirts. So what are we going to do? Go to fall off direction, and change it to world Z axis. So now that we've done that, you can see our things started to change a little bit. So now we have our top surfaces that are appearing in black, but all the side surfaces, front surfaces, all are white. What does that tell us? That tells us that our dirts will go into the black channel here. So we're gonna take this texture and just plug it into our black slot here. Since this is a matte material, we need to add some reflection to it. So let's crank up the reflection. Our glossy is 1. Glossy will be completely ignored because we will plug in our fall off into our reflection glossy in a second. So you can see that our table is reflective. You can see this nice reflection happening everywhere. So let's plug in the fall off. So if I plug it in into our reflection glossy, now remember, we said that the black parts are our top parts. This is how fall off kind of divided these elements. So we will be mainly focusing on this element, and this will be just our basic glossy channel. Okay, so how much reflection do we need? How much dirt do we need? This is a good question. So whenever you are kind of trying to figure out how much blurriness do we need, etc., try to just isolate that element from the whole material and just see what that element does. So how are we going to do that? Since we are dealing only with reflective part, we're going to crank our IOR to like 50, just so that we can see what is reflected, etc., etc. Now, you can notice that the top part is completely white. Now, why is that? Because our fall off has this in black. Black color in glossy means it's super blurry. White color, it's super sharp. So if I go to this black color and just push it to the white side, you can see that we have all the nice reflections of this little prop. Okay, so let's hit cancel. So since the frontal part is the part that's not gonna have basically any dirt, so it's super straightforward to kind of tune, and that's our blurriness. Like I said, this is a matte surface, so let's just click on this white color and let's just lower it down a little bit. We could easily see all the reflections from our room, so let's kind of lower it down until we get, you know, the amount of blurriness that we like. Okay, so let's see what's happening in these corners. Yeah, it is generally blurry. If I lower it a little bit more, it's very, very matte. So I'm gonna just stay somewhere in between. So let's keep it like this. That's 50% of the material done. Now, let's focus on the dirty part. So, the dirty part, this is the texture. Let's plug it in here. Now, it will only affect those elements because it's divided by falloff. So, let's see how does that look like. Well, you can't really see anything, and this is because we haven't set up a super important part, and that's the UV maps for our dirts. So the first thing that we need to do is, in general, whenever you want to add dirts or something, you always want to kind of isolate whatever is happening with those dirts. And we're going to isolate that by creating a secondary UV channel. So click on your Corona bitmap. Here you have map channel, switch that to number 2. Now, let's select our TV unit, plug in UV map, and set its map channel to number 2. Now, Texture Supply's dirt table map has a dimension. It's 82 centimeters by 150. So in the UV map, let's switch that to box 82, 82, 150. And now we have a correct dimension of our dirts. Okay, now let's see how this performs in our render. Okay, now we are starting to see some sort of dirty elements happening. Okay, so now it's generally time to tune this up. Tuning is very, very simple. So just go to your Corona bitmap, lower it down, go to the output section here. In the output, enable color map. Now how this works, this is a range of your color on your texture. This is the white color, and if you select it, you're gonna see number 1 here. Now this is the black color, and you're gonna see number 0 here. So what you can do at this point, you can kind of lower these values down, and let me just increase this preview just so that you can see what's happening. If I push it up, you can see how it becomes like more contrasty, or the way how texture is created. But if we push it closer together, it's just gonna blend into the grayness. So how is that important? Why is that important? So let's kind of push it where it was before. So our main issue was that the dirts were very, very, very visible. So these are our dirts. So let's kind of lower them down. So if I lower this down and lower this up, now they're slightly less visible. So if you ask me, that's a little bit too much still. So I'm just gonna tweak it up a little bit to something like this. And we are getting this. Now you can see that these dirts are super subtle. You even wouldn't say that this is dirty, but it has that right amount of imperfection that we are seeking. So how do we control the amount? So okay, now we tuned our blacks and whites, etc. So how do we control how much blurriness in general are we gonna get? So I know that this surface needs to be a little bit sharper than the front because of the magical thing called Glossy Fresnel. So what is Glossy Fresnel? It's a natural effect where, so when you look something from up front, it will be blurry, but when you look at it on the side, it's going to be much sharper. If you have any matte surface in your home, if you approach it, just look at it from up front, it's going to be super blurry. Just lean your head over it and you will see that the reflections are going to be much, much sharper, and this is the Glossy Fresnel effect. Corona has that inbuilt already, but I always like to crank that up a little bit more. How do you kind of approach the amount of blurriness that you need on this surface? Well, after I've set my contrasts here by tweaking the white value and the black value, you can just select them both. And if you shift them up or down together, you're gonna get this surface to be sharper or bluer. Okay, so the amount that we are seeking will be, let's say something like this. I kind of want to have it on a little bit more sharper side. And yeah, that's generally it. So now let's go back to our material, because in the beginning we set our IOR to be 50 because this was just a testing, because we are only seeing what the reflections do. So now let's put it back to 1.52, or it can be 1.6, it doesn't really matter. And at that point, when you zoom in, you can see your sharp reflections happening, and you can see here that you have nice slight dirts happening. As you can see in these reflections, they're just broken in the right amount. Now, here is the deal. Whenever you create dirts, if your client tells you this is dirty, remove it. Or if your client instantly tells you don't do any dirts, that just means that you need to lower them and not remove them, because every surface in the world has dirt. So whenever you get a critique that your dirts are too pronounced, just lower them down drastically. Well, now, why is that? Why would you let these dirts to be so subtly visible? Well, subtle is better than nothing, because we are dealing with 3D that is overly perfect, and what you don't want to have in your renders is that when you have that blurry reflection, that you have those super clean gradients of blurry reflection, because this is the main thing that's going to tell the viewer that this is a CGI image. So if you have some sort of, flakiness happening, some subtle effects, you've done a great job. And generally this is it. This is how I do my finger stains, etc. So now, if we kind of go into our viewport, let's kind of see how that looks from a different angle. Let's say something like this. Now look at this. Look at these nice stains happening. They're not too strong, but you can feel them. They're like super nicely visible. And again, you have our reflection, that is kind of, sharper here because we're at the lower angle. And then again, if we go, up front, that reflection is going to be completely blurred out, and you basically cannot see any stains visible here. And this is how I approach my stains in my renders. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.